I told you that Social Security's looming solvency crisis didn't have to happen? That one change made decades ago could have potentially added 30 more years of solvency without raising taxes or cutting a single benefit. Before discussing this change, it's crucial that we first review the underlying funding structure of Social Security. Social Security operates in a pay-as-you-go system. Every time a worker receives a paycheck, a small portion of that paycheck is taken in the form of payroll tax. Part of these payroll taxes immediately go to retirees receiving benefits. For the majority of Social Security's existence, payroll taxes had been enough to cover retirement and disability benefits. In fact, there was a surplus of revenue that poured over and was saved for the future in something called a Social Security trust fund. However, for more than a decade, payroll taxes have no longer been enough, which has caused Social Security to dip into the trust fund to make up for the difference. Based on the trust fund's size and inability to keep up with growing liabilities, right now Social Security is facing some solvency issues that I think we're all aware of. Depending on how you project use of Social Security trust funds, right now the trust fund is set to run out in the 2035 time range. At this point, all Social Security would have is payroll taxes coming in, which would only fund about 80% of current benefits long term. If we assume a 21% cut in benefits, a retiree receiving $2,500 in Social Security benefits a month would see their benefit cut to $1,975 per month. A pretty sizable haircut. But here's something you may not be aware of in relation to the trust fund. By law, the Social Security Trust Fund is only allowed to invest in special issue treasury bonds. On one hand, treasury bonds are incredibly safe, minimize volatility, and create dependable liquidity when Social Security needs the money most. However, funding Social Security through the trust fund creates a situation that is no different from pension funds or really even individual retirements. We have an ongoing withdrawal need and a bucket of assets we are trying to manage in a way that extends longevity of those assets. Given this, what if we ran individual retirements and pension funds the same way Social Security ran its trust fund and only invested in treasury bonds? This is a ludicrous proposition. Instead, what individuals and pension funds do is they invest in a diversified portfolio that includes stocks, bonds, and other alternatives. Yes, this can add some volatility, but over the long term, investors are generally rewarded with higher growth over time. In a diversified portfolio, one manages short-term liabilities with safer bond-like investments while investing longer-term liabilities in more growth-oriented investments. This begs the question, why wouldn't we take the same approach that we use for individuals and pension funds and apply that approach to Social Security? On the screen, I have data from the Social Security Administration that shows the growth of the trust fund over the years. I highlighted a key period for Social Security that took place in 1983 and started impacting 1984 and beyond. In 1983, payroll taxes gradually increased. Full retirement age was moved back. Taxation of Social Security benefits began. All of these things increased funding into the program, which led to a sizable surplus and dollars being added into the trust fund. This put the trust fund in an accumulation mode until 2021, when Social Security was forced to start drawing down that trust fund because of growing liabilities. Based on these ongoing additions and the Treasury bond investment strategy, as of the end of last year, the trust fund currently sits at $2.7 trillion. However, I dug through the trust fund data and asked the question, what could have been? What if in 1983, rather than continuing with this bond buying program, Social Security changed its investment strategy to adopt one more similar to individuals and pension plans? I used a simple 70-30 portfolio of stocks and treasuries, but it's less about the exact mix and more about the overall trend here. Had Social Security done this, the trust fund would currently be around $11.5 trillion. Given the expected liabilities in the future, this would extend Social Security's solvency out into the 2060s. No changes to taxes, no changes to benefits, just a change to the background investment strategy. Now, you might be sitting here thinking, so what? We can't go back in time and make this change. We still have solvency problems today. And you're right. But number one, I just think this is an interesting analysis. Number two, I think it's important to identify what I'll call past mistakes in order to avoid future mistakes. Then number three, it's highly likely that we will be forced to make changes to Social Security to increase solvency moving forward. This happened in 1983 that led to large revenue surpluses until the 2020s. Most likely, future changes will involve increasing taxes in some form, which likely creates a scenario where the trust fund starts growing once again. I think it makes a lot of sense to include this change, this investment strategy change, as one of those changes. Let me know in the comments below if you found this short analysis interesting. And if you're concerned about Social Security's solvency and what it means for your Social Security filing strategy, click on this video right here where I talk about 5 reasons your benefits won't be cut in your lifetime. The implications of a benefit cut have massive consequences on your filing strategy. Click here to learn more. Always remember, you don't need more money, you need a better plan. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.